Warm greetings to my dear students. I welcome you all to our YouTube class. Today I'll be discussing topic meaning of poverty and indicators for poverty with you. This is the topic from chapter Poverty as a Challenge from the economics portion of social studies. Meaning of poverty. What do you mean by poverty, or how do we perceive poverty? Poverty is a condition in which a person lacks the financial resources and essential things to enjoy minimum standards of life. It is the most difficult challenge faced by independent India. Poor people can be landless laborers in villages, juggi, and slum dwellers in cities and towns, daily wage workers at the construction sites, child workers in dabas, or even beggars. They are included in the category of poor people. As per the poverty report of 2020, India has 73 million people living in extreme poverty according to the Brookings report. Social scientists, they analyze poverty from many aspects besides level of income and consumption. And these aspects are poor level of literacy, malnutrition or undernourishment, which leads to poor resistance to disease, lack of access to healthcare, lack of job opportunities, lack of access to sanitation and safe drinking water, and so on. I'll be discussing two typical cases of poverty with you. And these two cases, they will show many dimensions of the poverty, like lack of proper food, shelter, healthcare, education, as well as clean water and sanitation. They will also show lack of the regular means of livelihood. So starting with our first case, that is the urban case. Ram Saran, he is a daily wage laborer in a flour mill near Ranchi in Jharkhand. I'm taking an example of a person. His name is Ram Saran and he is a daily wage laborer in a flour mill near Ranchi in Jharkhand. He earns around 1500 per month when he is employed. He supports his family of 6 persons besides sending some money to his elderly parents. His wife and son also work, but none of his 4 children, they attend school because they are very poor. The family lives in a one-room rented house on the outer areas of the city. The children are undernourished. They have very few clothes or footwear and no access to health care. Then number 2 is the rural case. A person whose name is Lakha Singh. He is a landless laborer in a small village near Meerut in Uttar Pradesh. By doing odd jobs for farmers, he earns rupees 50 per day. Sometimes he gets some food grain or some other item instead of cash. He is not literate and his family of 8, they live in a kacha house or a kacha hut near the edge of village. They have no access to health care. They cannot afford new clothes or even soap or oil. So these two cases, they have given us the complete dimension of the poverty, which includes lack of food, lack of shelter, lack of health care, lack of education, also the lack of regular means of livelihood. Now, the important question which arises is that what are the indicators for poverty? The most commonly used indicators for poverty are social exclusion and vulnerability. Social exclusion means living in a poor surrounding with poor people. Excluded from enjoying social equality of better life of the people who live in poor surroundings with the poor people, they are excluded from enjoying a better life with the well-off people in the better surroundings. There is a clear-cut division between the poor people and between the well-off people. The well-off people, they prefer to live in certain areas, while as the poor people, very poor people who are below poverty line, they live in slums, juggis, or under bridges, etc. So there is a clear-cut division between the poor people and between the better off people. In India, we find that caste system is also based on social exclusion. People from certain castes, they were prevented from enjoying the equal facilities, benefits and opportunities, and this caused more poverty than the lower income. But to be very practical, still in certain areas, in certain places of the India, we find that the people from certain castes, they are prevented from enjoying the equal facilities, benefits and opportunities. Then number 2 is vulnerability. Vulnerability to poverty is a measure which describes the greater probability of certain communities of becoming or remaining poor in the coming time. For example, we have members of the backward caste or the individuals like widows, physically handicapped person and so on. Vulnerability is determined by various options available to the different communities in terms of assets, education, job, health, etc. And it's being analyzed that what is their ability, how much capacity they have to face the various risks like natural disasters. The groups which face greater risk at the time of the natural calamity, they are called as the vulnerable groups. I hope my video will be helpful.